Hey, comrades, what's up? Sorry, I was swallowing mucus or something. So hope everyone's doing great. We're here to talk about the next game in the Atelier series. This is Atelier Viorate? Viorate? I think that's what it is. Viorate. Yeah, I think it's Viorate. Anyway, this is part 2 of the Gramnad series, and it virtually has nothing to do with the previous game that I could tell. Now, this game, again, was never translated by Men of Culture or by the actual company, Gust, into English, so I'm working with the interpretation OCR, which, as I mentioned before, is like good enough to kind of get you like a vague idea of what's going on and what you're supposed to do. And I'm already somewhat familiar with the big thing that connects this game with the previous one is playing the game. So it's virtually exactly the same game as before, only this one it's like, hey, we made this game with like an unlimited clock, and you got to make like the dragon hourglass and go back in time. Yeah, I think it's going back in time. Go back in time because you travel to like the future. Yeah, I think that's what it is. You can tell I play these games back to back without playing any games between, because I remember every little detail. But yeah, something like that. Anyway, and so the big thing is you got to go to these dungeons and power through the dungeons and do all this stuff and yada yada yada. Right? That is not this game. This game is Atelier Marie, Lily, Anise. What was the other one? Lily, Denise, Ellie, right? But just with the engine of the Gramnad games, right? So you have like an atelier in a small village, and one of the fun things it kind of adds is instead of just having like you do an alchemy in there with your brother, is that you actually at some point get to set up a little store, and then you can hire people for your party to go out and do adventures and like get materials and whatnot. But you can also hire people just to like run your fucking store in town. And the town's cast is pretty fucking delightful, not gonna lie. I would say this is my favorite town yet. I think I actually like Atelier Marie's better slightly, like the cast of characters and stuff. Even barely being able to understand them, I got the gist of what they were going for and who their personalities were. There's like there's Oni-chan, right, the brother. He's kind of a derp who doesn't want to support us in like our endeavors to become like a atelier and run a store in this town that's kind of dying. Oh, that's part of the thing is like you're building this town up by like becoming more popular and getting people to come invest in like your alchemy and all this stuff. It's not like direct. There's a lot of stuff going on in this game. Like this is like, and from here on out, starting with Atelier Iris, Eternal Mana, or Mana Eternity Mana, something like that. The next one we're going to play, that is like a JRPG with alchemy shit in it, right? And that is where the game goes going forward. And that's like officially number 6 into Atelier series. Now, if you're paying attention, this is the 6th video, or even the 7th video that I played. The whole Salberg group, as I've mentioned before, is like, it's so many games, but like there's 3 main games that are considered like canon. There's Marie, Ellie, and then Lily, and Lily is like the prologue to all these things. And then like Anise, for example, that I played is like an offshoot game, and they're all offshoot games. So, and according to Gust, this is game number 5. Okay. Yeah, so we play the titular Viorate. Oh, let me think. What else does it add? Okay, so you have... I gotta do the math. You have like 3.5 years, 4 years. It's like you have like 1,200 days roughly to like do something with your life, right? So that's your time limit. And the game starts off, and it's you, and you're woken up by your brother, and then you go downstairs, and your mom and dad are going on like a journey or something, and they're like merchants or something. And I think part of the issue is the town is dying. And again, this is like the janky translation I got. I didn't look up any shit online about this game or the story or whatnot. This is just like the janky like OCR that I'm using and just kind of like trying to get the vibes of like what people are talking about. And so and like my extremely limited Japanese that I can still remember. So Mom and Dad are going on a journey because they're trying to find a place for you. And when they get back, we're going to all abandon ship in this town and leave. And then there's a village elder who's kind of sad upon us about it, but he's sticking around. And then we want to stick around because we love this town. And so it's like, okay, well, we're going to be gone for like 4 years for some reason. And so in that time, if we can like establish a shop and like build up the town, then like we can stick around. All right. And so then our brother is kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. He's like supportive-ish. He's the character that costs nothing. So, it's like you kind of want to bring him along, especially in the early game, because you can just like build up his relationship. And he'll like watch the store for free, and he'll do other stuff too. You don't start with the store. I don't think I got the store access until like year 2, if not 3. But it's pretty nice because you can just like slam items in there, and then you come back and get your reputation with the town really high. I don't know if you can establish shops in other towns. Every town has a reputation. I was able to unlock 4 towns. There's like this airship that comes and goes, and I was never able to like really figure out what that was all about. And there was one dungeon I was able to open. This game does the same thing that the previous games did, where there's like only like takes it to 11, because in the other game you had like obstacles that you could blow up with explosives, and you needed to do that sometimes to get past areas. So this has that, but then it also has some sort of like I think a fishing mechanic that I was never able to figure out, because there's like a dungeon area on the overworld that you just walk in there and there's nothing in there but like a lake, and then you walk up to it and click on it, and then it's like you have like an option to do something, but it was never highlighted for me because I never had like a fishing rod or anything, so I'm kind of assuming it was a fishing. I don't know for sure. But then there's like, you need climbing tools for one level to get to like higher access points. There's one where you need to figure out how to get across like a lake to like the other side. There's one where there's like a slight like 2-inch, it looks like smaller than like your foot, little ledge you got to walk up, and you need something to get on that ledge, right? There's all these other things you got to get like items for or do stuff for, and God knows, I don't know. But a big part of it is just like upgrading the Atelier. So I was upgraded a lot. I think I just got the generic ending. I don't think I got a bad ending, right? It was kind of hard to understand what was going on. But when the time ran out, it was like we're all meeting together and everyone's like celebrating. And as the game's going along, I was just like building the town. Like I wasn't building the town. It would just be like I'd be walking around and there'd be more shops, there'd be more people, like houses built, stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm doing something. And then my rep wasn't maxed for the town, but it was like 80%, I want to say. So I was cruising along with that. Part of the issue with me playing these games, and at some point I just cheated, because with these games that I don't understand the language, that are like very management based, it's like I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, so I'm gonna just like give myself more money so that I can like have better access to like playing the game instead of just like slamming my head against the ground constantly and like grinding for hours. It's like but I didn't just roll in here and start and give myself like unlimited money. I played for probably like, I think I played this game for like 8 hours roughly, and I think the first half, at least 4 or 5 hours, I just like tried to power through it. But at some point it was just like real slow, and I was like, I really don't feel like I'm making any progress. And so that I gave myself a bunch of money, and then I'd like run around. The biggest thing I don't like about these games compared to like the Salberg games is that in the Salberg you could like go to other towns, but then you could like send shit back, right? And going to those other towns, they didn't have like separate requests, right? Because part of the problems with the requests is that your basket holds only so much stuff, and you have no idea what that's going to be, right? So you have to invest. Like you almost have to like travel to another town, see what they got, reload your game, make or get what they need, travel back. Hopefully it hasn't like gone past that point, right? It's almost like future sight. Like it's really annoying. And so like in this game, in the previous one, in the Gramnad, I didn't give a fuck about other towns. Like if I was there and I would like check in on their quests, and if it was something I could buy in the store at that town, or if it was something that like I just had on hand, I would like give it to them to get their reputation up. But I really did not invest any time. Like I feel like you would have to like, there's so much foreplanning and almost like safe scumming you have to do to like do these quests, because it's like it eats up even if you have time to like travel all the way back, make the shit or get the items, then come back without running out of time and losing reputation points. It's like, okay, so I just wasted all this travel time, like days and like 20 days of like travel, like a whole month traveling back and forth to like make this thing, to get like, first of all, like 200 gold pieces, and then on top of that, it's like, and then like 5 reputation points out of the like 1,000 you need to max this out. And I'm just like, I don't understand like, again, I must be missing something in terms of like how to play this game, because I can't imagine this is like how you're supposed to do this, because it literally, the way I understand the systems in this game, which again is not super well, but just with like my base understanding, is like it's impossible to get the reputation up in all these towns. And I feel like there's got to be a way, because there's probably some super ending where you're like beloved by everybody. And like I'm struggling just to get the reputation in the main town up with like the time limit that you're given. So maybe it's something you're just supposed to do with the unlimited time version, because it's got like, hey, you want to just play with like no time limit, right? And so like that I could see, like maybe you just play through the game, get like the ending you get, and then to get like the secret endings or whatever, you really just gotta do some old janky bullshit. And I don't mind that you can only carry so many items, but it becomes like cumbersome, especially when you like head back, that it like doesn't automatically take all that shit out. Like there were times I would like go into my atelier at home, and it would be like, would you like to put everything in your container? And I'd be like, yes. And then it was like, would you like to organize your container? Like, yes. And then I would like leave to go somewhere else to get stuff, and I'd show up there and pick up like 4 things, and it's like your basket's full, and I'd be like, fuck you, game. Like, because it's just like, I almost like arbitrarily decides like sometimes stuff's just like not going to be taken out of your basket, when it's like, can you just fucking take everything out of the basket, and if I want something, I'll go back and like pick it up. And like I understand not taking like weapons and armor out, because that's like a whole separate system in this game. But like it would just be like I'd pick stuff up outside, like I get water from the well, and then I'd go back in and it would just like leave it in my inventory, and I was like, oh my god, game, like what the fuck. Right. Okie dokie. So so there's brother. Okay, then there's like best friend, who is like the elder of the village, like the chief, or the mayor, or chief, or whatever you want to call him. His daughter is like it seems like to be like best friends with Viorate, and she's supposed to be like married off to somebody in a different town, I think, but that like never happened, so that was kind of confusing. She's a sweetheart. She's very nice. She's helpful. She's backing you up. Then there's like boyfriend, and I call him boyfriend because the dude like rolls up, and it seemed like he had a crush. He was like a childhood friend, Viorate and her brother. And he was like very in love with her at some point, but then she kind of blew him off, and she's still kind of like whatever. But his family became like super rich and like moved out of town, and then like he came back because he loves his town and wanted to be close to Viorate again. And so there's maybe like a romantic path with him. I don't know. So far, the Gus games generally kind of avoid that unless it's like lesbian shit, like a Knights of Azure. And then there's like Beatrice or something. She is like a stuck-up, like rich girl who is also kind of like, she's like a frenemy. She's like the Isel character from Atelier Ellie, and you kind of like win her over. The village has a festival every year that's like, oh, sorry, I'm kind of jumping in. So, and all the characters are well done, and I kind of worked on all of them, and they all seem very nice and stuff. My main group of fighters was boyfriend and then Isel. Isel is the frenemy of Ellie from Atelier Ellie. So it's like, oh, she's here. Like, what the fuck is she doing here? And like, I think she kind of explained some of that. It was kind of like Carmina being in the previous game. I don't know if it's just like Easter egg, but it was like the same character, same model. Not the same model, because they're like different games with different technology and stuff on a different system. This is, again, is a PSP. Yeah, it's just PSP game, not a Vita. But, you know, I was like, oh, cool. And she's very good at magic. And then I had Viorate, who's very good at magic. And then we had boyfriend, who was a good sword fighter. And it worked pretty well. Even without like getting them like super good at like the best equipment in the game, they were like holding their own, and like I was pushing through dungeons and doing stuff. Really, the thing that held me up a lot was just like the translation of stuff. Like I don't know exactly what I need to use, because at some point I got to like a part of like the one dungeon I was able to find, and there was like a chalice, and you click on it and it's like something, and like the translation was like olive oil, and I was like, that's not a thing in this game. So I was like, that's clearly not what this is asking me to do. And so I tried like all this shit like multiple times, and eventually I was just like, yep, YOLO. I'm not going through the dungeons. That's fair. Like this is as far as the road goes for me. Yeah, but like I said, there's a festival every year, or every couple of, I'm trying to remember if it happened more than once in a year, where you like auction off an item, and then you go to the auction and you can like bid against other people, and it's got like this fun little like slot style like thing that you can get like bonuses or penalties for like your stuff. And I think this is where the town like gets its money to like build up, because every time I did one of those, the town would have like new shops or new stuff like that, and it was pretty rad. And I was like, oh, this is dope. Yeah, like I said, at some point you get a shop. Oh, also you can upgrade your atelier. You have like 30 points, I want to say, to invest in this. So you can build like a cooler, like a refrigerator. You can build like a big fucking thing so you can disenchant, essentially, or not disenchant. You can take items and you can break them down to like ingots, and then you can use those ingots to make new stuff like weapons and armor, right? So then you can make like you can be like a blacksmith, essentially. You can have like a garden upstairs instead of a bedroom that you can put seeds in, and they'll grow like plants. That is the worst thing to invest in, because they are super fucking cheap generally, and then you can just like find them all over the place. So like unless you're doing a lot of like cooking, like food cooking, like it's really unnecessary, and then it doesn't like automatically happen. You got to give it like some time. So I feel like the farming was like the weakest. The refrigeration is great because you get less like shit that just like stops working or whatever, because you can put it in the fridge, like when you make like cheesecakes and stuff. And then the shop just is like, you just like you make stuff and you just dump it all there, and then you come back and it's like your reputation goes sky high and you get tons of money, and like that's the real like money maker for this game, in my opinion, like across the board, trying to increase your wealth and whatnot. So we go out. There's Honey Town, and I say Honey Town because it's literally like all about honey. There's like Drunk Town, which is all about being drunk, and at some point they're like giant casket of like liquor gets stolen, and so we have to go out and chase some bandits down, and we help them roll it back. So that's cool. And then there's like Castle Town, which is all about war, I guess. That place, I don't know. It wasn't that great. It has like a shop, but the shop has like a couple things you want, but then a lot of it's just like, why am I even coming here? And then a lot of the towns, except for the Castle Town, they'll have like a dungeon area that is attached to the town, and then there'll be like dungeons out and about. There's like a bandit fortress, there's like forest place, and I really wasn't getting that too far in most of those, because at some point they're limited by like you got to blow up like a rock or a wall, or climb up a wall, or go over like the 2-inch ledge or whatever, right? So my experience with this game is extremely limited. But that being said, I enjoyed it for the most part. Like at some point, like with all these, like most of Salzburg games too, it's like, okay, I'm grooving on this, I get it. Even Marie, which like I understood, I just skipped like a whole year and a half, I think, in Marie, because at some point I was like, I feel like I've done everything in this game, even without cheating. And so it was like, okay, well, I guess I could strive to get like more endings, but you kind of get locked into like one ending at some point. I'd locked myself into like 2 essentially endings, and only gotten one of them. So at that juncture, it was like, okay, well, I've seen what I needed to see here. But Marie is also the first one, and there's like the least amount to do. So I feel like that's why it's the easiest generally. While like even Ellie, you can like unlock other areas or like side stuff, or there's like more stuff to get yourself involved with. With this, there's like a whole game I'm not playing. Mostly because I do not understand half of what's going on, and I'm just trying to infer, and I'm going through like the menus are extensive, and like the OCR like struggles trying to translate like what's going on there. So I essentially just have to like click around and then guess and then like remember, right? So it's like, okay, I want to like build stuff. That Japanese kanji is for like a building, or like a supply depot or something. So I'm like, okay, I think that's like the factory or whatever, that's what I need to look at for this. So good stuff. All right, well, so that's the game. I enjoyed it. I would say unless you know Japanese, I would not play it even with like a translator, until somebody like decides they're going to go through like the millions of lines of text and make a English translation. It's just it's a lot. So if you don't, it's one of those things where it's like, I enjoyed it, and I can see this game being very fun, especially on a PSP back in like the 2000s, or late 90s. I could see myself really grooving with this thing and having a good time. But like, unless, like with my limited if you don't know Japanese, there is so much shit going on, and it's just like I don't quite understand any of this stuff that's going on. Maybe someday some of these OCRs will get like some real advanced like translation capabilities, but at this juncture, I wouldn't play. But it's fun and a quality game, and I'm looking forward to playing these games in English once again, and then see how they translate over to the JRPG aspect of it. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.